Good morning, YouTube. Everybody want to say hi? Say hi, everybody.
Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. Got a big crowd. This is not church. This is a mission trip. And it's cool. And you should come sometime. That's a cool dog. Say hi, Indy. Okay, we're in Luke 20 this morning, which is the New Testament, which is page 1012 if you're working out of the scriptures. It's one of the cool things in the scriptures, regardless of what copy of the scriptures you have. To the best of my knowledge, it's the same page. If you have the mini one, it's 1012. If you have the big one, it's 1012. Or the in-between one. All right, so Luke 20. And it came to be on one of those days, so can't even start there. For context, in 19, what's Yeshua doing? Rebuking the Pharisees, and he literally just cleansed the temple, which is cool. John goes into as much depth as you're going to get in the Gospels about the cleansing of the temple. But a lot of people, you used to wear those "What Would Jesus Do" bracelets. You ever see those things? It's like, I think a lot of people thought that meant like give somebody a hug or be kind to them, and it certainly can mean that. It can also mean flip tables and grab MFers by the throat and throw them out of the temple, and sit down and purposefully braid a 9-corded whip to drive evil out of your dad's house. We should remember that, because there's multiple facets to Messiah, and we're fearfully and wonderfully created in his image. There's multiple facets to us as well. So sometimes the way you deal with the problem is kindness and compassion and loving. Sometimes the way you deal with it is you just have to get a little bit physical. So he had just done that, okay? That's 19. So for context, and it came to be on one of those days as he, Yeshua, was teaching the people in the set-apart place, the temple, bringing the good news, right? So he just cleaned the temple. Now he's in it preaching. Awesome. That the chief priests and the scribes, together with the elders, came up and spoke to him, saying, "Say to us, by what authority you are doing these? Or who is he who gave you this authority?" And Yeshua, answering, said to them, "I shall ask you one question too, and answer me. The immersion of Yochanan, the baptism of John, was it from heaven or from men?" And they debated amongst themselves, and saying, "If we say from heaven, he shall say, then why did you not believe him? But if we say from men, all the people shall stone us, for they are persuaded that John was a prophet." Kind of a catch-22 here. And they answered that they did not know where it was from. And Yeshua said to them, "Neither do I say to you by what authority I do these." If you can't give me a straight answer, I'm not going to give you a straight answer. But they knew whose authority he was operating under. They just wanted to hear him say it. And they did not want to admit that John was baptizing on the authority of Yah, because John had his head cut off, right? That would have been really bad for them. I need more of this coffee. That is sip number 2 of the day, and it's wonderful. And he, Yeshua, began to speak this parable to the people. A certain man planted a vineyard and leased it to farmers and went away for a long time. And at harvest time, he sent a servant to the farmers to give some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the farmer beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent another servant, and they beat him too, and maltreated him, and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent a third, and they wounded him too, and cast him out. And the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I shall send my son, the beloved. They might respect him when they see him." But when the farmers saw him, they reasoned among themselves, saying, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, so that the inheritance becomes ours." And they cast him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then shall the owner of the vineyard do to them? He shall come and destroy those farmers and give the vineyard to others. And having heard, they said, "Let it not be." This is a pretty straightforward parable. The vineyard is what? Anybody know?
Church.
It's the kingdom, okay? Who plants the vineyard? Yah, exactly. The farmers, what Yeshua is referring to, are the Pharisees, right? And he's literally speaking a parable against them. Okay? The sons Yeshua, obviously. The servants were the prophets. These prophets had showed up time after time saying, hey man, listen, Son of God's coming, y'all need to straighten up. They're like, yeah, we got it. They were literally killing the prophets. So Yeshua is simply saying, look, you guys don't get to take care of the vineyard anymore. You're done. They hated that. They weren't very happy about that. But he looked at them and said, what then is this that has been written? The stone which the builder rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone shall be broken, but on whomever it falls, he shall be pulverized. And the chief priests and the scribes sought to lay hands on him in the same hour, but they feared the people, for they knew that he had spoken this parable against them. So they couldn't kill him. They couldn't snatch him up right then because Yeshua was too popular with the people. That whole chief cornerstone thing, is anybody familiar with that? Okay. Flip over to Psalms 118. And that's page 714 in the scriptures.
118.
Psalms 18. Yeah, we're going to start around 118. Start around verse 19. And if you haven't read the Psalms, they're pretty cool. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But the idea behind the chief cornerstone, this passage that refers to the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Psalms 118, verse 19. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I enter through them. I thank Yah. This is the gate of Yahuwah. The righteous enter through it. I thank you, for you have answered me and have become my deliverance. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. This was from Yahuwah. It is marvelous in our eyes. So when Yeshua says this to them, he's once again making the point, bro, I'm the Messiah. Y'all are unrighteous. You don't get to do this job anymore. You failed at your job. You took the Father's perfect law and made a religion out of it. You are the stumbling block. And it's pissing the Pharisees off. It always did piss the Pharisees off. Everything Yeshua ever did shined light on all of their bullcrap. And they want to murder him. And they're gonna. And he knows it. And he's known it for a long time. The apostles didn't get it. We talked about that a couple weeks ago when we were here the last time. They were in denial. Even though repeatedly he was knife-handing them saying, look, this is only for a matter of time. I'm going to go away. They didn't get it. And back on Luke 19. And keeping a close watch on him, on Yeshua, they sent spies who pretended to be righteous to catch him in a word in order to deliver him to the rule and to the authority of the governor. I have a little star next to that. Spies who pretended to be righteous. Just in that, me speaking, not the Bible, there are people who aren't always what they appear to be. You got to watch out for that. Even Matthew 4, Satan is quoting scripture directly at Messiah. Just because somebody knows the words of the Bible doesn't mean they're living the words of the Bible. Just because somebody knows the words of the Bible doesn't mean they're indwelt by Messiah. Doesn't mean that they have the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Right? We have to be aware of that. Right? Test everything. So they asked him, saying, Teacher, we know that you say and teach rightly, and you are not partial to any, but teach the way of Elohim truly. That's an interesting turn of phrase. But teach the way of Elohim truly. Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But perceiving their craftiness, he said to them, Why do you try me? Show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have? And they answered, saying, Caesar's. And he said to them, Then give to Caesar's what is Caesar's, and to Elohim's what is Elohim. And they were unable to catch him in a saying in the presence of the people, and marveling at his answer, they were silent. What's a denarius? Coin, right. Basically a day's wage, right? So this is a lot of churches that I've been to are like, it's real simple. Give your portion to the government, give your portion to Yah. And I think if you were to dumb it down, yes. However, there's more to it than that, because what do you give to Yah? What portion goes to Yah?
10th.
Of your yes, a 10th, your first fruits. Who fearfully and wonderfully made us? Yah. Who do we belong to? What does Deuteronomy 6:4 say? 6:5 say? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. We read just yesterday in Deuteronomy, if you're going to be in service as a Levite, don't come with your half-assed attempts to serve Yah. You come with everything you've got, or don't come at all. And so, for me, when I read that, it's like, oh, I have this money in my hand, copy. This is of the world. This can go wherever it needs to go in the world. But this belongs to Yah. So give what belongs to Yah, right? And so I think there's more to it than simply, oh, this portion goes here and this portion goes there. There's a much deeper implication. You can read elsewhere, especially in the Torah, that it says the reason that we have wealth in the first place, the reason that denarius shows up in our hand in the first place is to establish the Father's covenant between us. Like, that's straight up Torah. And we could go way down that rabbit hole, but I don't think we're going to right now. And so there's more to it, I think, simply than the nice, well, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give to God's what is God's. Well, what's God's? All of it. You. Your entire being. There's not a molecule that exists of you that doesn't belong to him. Now, same thing for me. And there's days where I'm like, bro, I can give you like 10 molecules because I'm sucking today. That's all I got. And there's other days where it's like, I wish I had 4 quadrillion more molecules because I'm on fire. But this, all of it, belongs to Yah. This doesn't matter. It's the same parable of the talents. He'll put it in your hand so that you can use it. Money's designed to be exchanged, by the way. That's why it exists. It's not to hold on to. It's to ease the flow of goods and services. So yeah, you got a denarius in your hand, give it to Caesar. It's his anyways. This is what matters. This is what Yah is interested in. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't know sometimes, because I see faces staring at me, but I don't know if it's like going in there or if I'm making any sense. So, thank you. Mad Kelt's nodding, so I guess it's working. Those were decent words.
I'm following.
You're following? Okay, that's good, because you're a little... He was dropped on his head a couple of times yesterday. Okay, so they were trying to jam up Yeshua, and he answered them appropriately. And they marveled at his answer, and they were silent. And some of the Sadducees, who deny that there is a resurrection, came to Yeshua, and asked him, saying, Teacher, Moshe wrote to us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife, and he dies childless, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife and died childless. And the second took her as a wife, and he died childless. And the third took her in the same way, the 7 also. And they left no children and died. And last of all, the woman died too. At the resurrection then, whose wife does she become? For the 7 had her as a wife. Pause.
Whose wife does she become?
Whose wife does she become? Now hold on. Verse 27. And some of the Sadducees, who deny there is a resurrection, are asking this question. This is a completely disingenuous question. They don't want an answer. They're not interested at all. It's like, I don't believe in unicorns, but what color is your favorite unicorn? Doesn't matter, right? I don't believe in unicorns. These guys don't believe in the resurrection, yet they're trying to jam Yeshua up with this question. So that's the first thing to note there, is it's a completely disingenuous question. Next. And Yeshua, answering, said to them, verse 34, the sons of this age marry and are given into marriage. But those who are counted worthy of attaining that age and the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are they given in marriage. For neither is it possible for them to die anymore, because they are like messengers and sons of Elohim, being sons of the resurrection. But that the dead are raised, even Moshe showed at the bush when he called Yahuwah the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Isaac and the Elohim of Jacob. Now he is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. So, in the resurrection, in the afterlife, and boy, we could go down that rabbit hole too, and we're not going to do that because this would be a 16-hour-long video. But after the resurrection, this fleshly body probably not going to be around. We're going to be like messengers. That could be interesting. I don't know. I want an axe. That's all I know. I want an axe. And if that body can wield an axe, I'm in. Because there's going to be evil things that need to get killed, and I want to do it. Okay? Get you approved?
I do.
Okay. Good. So we're not going to be doing that. But and then he goes on to say, listen, Yah is not the Yah of the dead. Cool. I feel like, as a brief aside, this is a pretty straightforward passage. So I'm not going terribly deep. Is everybody tracking? Okay. He's not the Elohim of the dead. So the Sadducees, that's pretty bad news for them. If they're worshiping the same Yah that Yeshua is, they don't believe in resurrection, they're going to have a problem. Some of the scribes answering said, Teacher, you have spoken well. And they were not bold enough to question him anymore. And he said to them, How do they say that the Messiah is the son of David? For David himself said in the book of Psalms, Tachalim, Yahuwah said to my master, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool of your feet. David then calls him master. How is he then his son? How can his son be his master, basically? And in the hearing of all the people, he said to his taught ones, Yeshua said, Beware of the scribes who like to walk in long robes and love greetings in the marketplaces and the best seats in the congregation and the best places at the feasts, who devour widows' houses for a show and make long prayers. They shall receive greater judgment. So at this point, Yeshua's done. He's pissed at all these questions they're asking him. Beware of the scribes. So, but that begs the question, because we don't actually get an answer there. For David himself said in the book of Psalms, Yahuwah said to my master, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool of your feet. David then calls him master. How is he then his son? Anybody got an idea there? Cool. So, book of John. In the beginning was the Word. Who's the Word? Yeshua. And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. So where was Yeshua at the time of David? Was he on earth? No. Where was he? At the right hand of God. So when David said to my master, Sit at my right hand. Copy. Until I make enemies a footstool of your feet. So when Yeshua is walking in the flesh, he's literally the son of David. He's of the line of David. We talked about that yesterday in Deuteronomy, the kingly line, right? In the physical embodiment, he's of the line of David. Until he was walking around on the earth, he was sitting at the right hand of God. Boom. But this again is another to everybody who wasn't believing in Yeshua. And that simple little turn of phrase for him to point that out to them, they understand, oh, this guy's divine. It's not just some carpenter dude or stonemason from Nazareth walking around slinging parables at people. There's more going on here. This is why they wanted to jam him up and murder him. Because every time he opened his mouth, he put the lie to what they were teaching. If you read this word, every time he opens his mouth in this word, he'll put the lie to a lot of what's being taught today. And so that's why a lot of people don't want to just sit down and read this word. Because it puts the lie to a lot of what's taught today. And so that's where we're going to end today. Pretty, in my estimation, easy read, which is good considering all the fellowshipping that happened last night. So, shalom YouTube. Have a blessed day.